Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of New Windsor. So right now we're looking at the rural suburbs we built in the last episode. So today we're actually going to be moving back towards downtown and working on a oil tank area and a USPS distribution center and some warehouses in this area near these power lines. Alright, so now we're working on this warehouse that's sort of built out of an old mill with some different expansions, and yeah, I'm using a lot of different assets for it. Some of the mills, some of the factories that I've got, and warehouses, and the idea with this is it's based off this area in Providence I've been meaning to use as inspiration for a while, where there are a bunch of different industrial lots that are on very narrow lots, intersected by roads and train tracks and stuff, and this is based on this particular warehouse in between this road and a train track. And the idea is right now I've got this, in New Windsor here, the road obviously is this main avenue, and the train track using the power lines as that barrier, and I'm trying to work in between there and fit this in very nicely. And very happy I finally got to use this area for inspiration, and I probably won't, stop here. I'll probably use it again at some point in the future because it's a really cool industrial area. And yeah, I'll show you that reference again a little later when we work on the oil tanks on the other side of the electrical lines. But right now I'm just trying to fill this area with warehouses, and it's a very grungy area despite being so close to downtown. Hopefully you guys aren't getting freaked out by the weird sound effects in the DJ Quad's music. It's a little weird just having a coffee pouring sound effect in the middle of a song. But it's chill, and people seem to really like it from the videos I've uploaded with this music so far, so we're keeping it. So I guess a little building tip. Try to confine yourselves to a very small area with certain builds, like just as a challenge. Because this area right here, it's a very narrow lot to do what I'm trying to do, which is a really, really big warehouse, like a converted warehouse. And, you can work within these really narrow areas or, like a small area or whatever. And just, these areas exist in real life because of things like power lines and train tracks and stuff. So, implementing something like that in game, no matter what your build looks like, will make the actual overview look a lot more realistic, because roads and stuff are not always perfect. A lot of the times power lines and train tracks cut through areas which were not really built around those power lines and train tracks initially, and you just gotta make do. And that sort of explains a lot of these narrow lots that you see. Alright, so now that we're done with that converted mill type of thing. Now we're going to move on to a new part of the episode where we build a pretty large USPS distribution center with one of the industry's DLC warehouses. I've been meaning to do this for a while, so let's get straight into it. As you can see, I am sort of struggling here with the terrain because the actual building has some weird terrain attributes. It raises terrain when it really shouldn't, but I manage, and I really cover the asphalt from the building with ploppable asphalt to make it look a little bit more fluid. So yeah, right now I'm placing these USPS trucks, which I do replace later with USPS semi-trucks and trailers. So this is sort of inspired by a USPS distribution center I found in New Haven, Connecticut. It's got these loading bays for the larger trucks on one side, and then the loading bays for the trucks that actually go out for delivery on another. I know there's also a USPS distribution center in Providence, or I think Pawtucket or something, in Rhode Island, and I was going to use that as inspiration as well, but I mostly tried to go with the one in New Haven, because I'd been looking at it a lot. Obviously, it doesn't really resemble it too much, considering there are way fewer places for trucks that are going out for delivery to load up. But as always, the idea is to just use it as inspiration and do something similar but not identical, and we sort of achieved that there. But right here, I am sort of working on the back parking lots. I try to keep the parking lots contained within the wilderness. I had a lot of trees here. It's not a massive, concrete industrial area back here. We end up making a hill in a moment that has a bunch of trees on it in between the train tracks and the distribution center, just to fill that space, because you see right here, I'm trying to add some sort of construction site or something here, maybe like a rail yard. It doesn't work out. So I decide to just add a hill instead, and it looks a lot better. So you'll see how that turns out. So you see here, after I failed at building that rail yard over there, I made this hill. We're going to add some trees to it in just a moment. Right now I'm just connecting these power lines together. I've been trying to add more power lines within New Windsor, and it's working out pretty well. Just a lot of the power lines have weird collision properties, so yeah, it's really annoying to deal with them. But some of them work just okay if you don't make them collide with other objects. But power lines tend to add a really nice, realistic touch without too much effort. Right now I'm redoing the river area over here, the shore. And yeah, the shoreline here is definitely a lot less developed than it is in Providence, in what would be this area. But I want this river to be a lot more natural. I'm not gonna make more canals further inland. That's only in downtown, so this is just how it's going to be, and it looks nice. I want to keep the natural feel of New England going here. Alright, we've essentially finished the USPS distribution center here. Now it's time to move to the other side of those power lines, and we're going to start work on this oil tank area, inspired by the oil tank area I showed you earlier.
Missing someone with all your heart. Missing someone with heart. How much you miss her, and you miss her. From the start, and you did right from the start. Missing someone is as normal. Missing someone. Missing someone is as normal. Missing someone with all your heart. Missing someone with heart. Missing someone. I am sad and so down.
Hopefully you've been enjoying watching me have no idea what I'm doing working on this oil tank area. So yeah, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to make it look good. In a moment here, we're going to add pipes between the oil tanks. Obviously, this is based on that area I showed you earlier, except I scaled it up a decent amount. So the area I showed you earlier, just this lot that's got a bunch of old, deteriorating oil tanks with pipes going between them, grass in between. And I'm trying to go for the same thing here, except I don't add, like, pavement and stuff around. And yeah, this is just an old, depressing oil tank lot, and I wanted to include it close to downtown to show that not the entire city is desirable to live in.
Sound of the 80s. Suddenly you hear it everywhere. It's all beat and all talk. It tells you a story and makes you want to dance. Steve Fox examines an overnight phenomenon, rapping to the beat.
Alright, so we essentially finished the oil tank area, so I decided to start adding some houses around it in this little lot in between the oil tanks and the rail, and I just decided to add some old New England houses in here surrounded by trees, just on this small little cul-de-sac, and I'll do a lot of that in the future as we work with more industrial areas. Really happy with how this episode turned out. I love this area, and I'm going to do a lot more stuff like it nearby, but it's essentially time to end the video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. You know what to do. Leave a like if you did enjoy. If you didn't, leave a dislike, and it'll help me just as much. Subscribe if you are new around here. I know I gotta update the subscribe button graphic, because we did pass 20,000 subscribers, but that'll happen in the near future. You can check out my Patreon to get access to the next New Windsor video. It's not going to be the next episode of New Windsor, but it's going to be the New Windsor cinematic video, which you probably want to watch even more. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and you can get early access right now if you check out my Patreon. Definitely follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I post... Well, on Twitter, I've been posting a lot of really funny comments I've been getting recently. So maybe you're famous, maybe you're on my Twitter, and if I post your comment, no hard feelings, it's just in good fun. And check out my Instagram for the best screenshots ever in this game. It's a really awesome place to look at my best work. So yeah, next weekend is the New Windsor cinematic video, which is like 12 or 13 minutes of my best cinematics ever, just all tied into one sequence. It's my best work ever. You can check it out now on my Patreon, but yeah, it'll be up next week on the channel. I'll see you next time.